Hey everybody, welcome back to the second episode from this summer's Wind River trip. Before we get to the epic adventuring, please take a second and click that big red subscribe button. I'm 100% sure that you'll want to catch all the upcoming episodes. And you know what? If you don't mind, hit that thumbs up thingy if you like the video. On this trip, I was hoping the first night would have been a nice warm night, but that didn't happen at all. Temperature must have gotten down to the mid-20s. When I woke up this morning, I had ice in my water purifier bag and my feet got really cold last night. In the middle of the night, I had to put on some extra socks and wrap them in a flannel shirt just to stay warm. Somehow I managed to get a little over 6 hours of sleep after I wrapped my feet in the flannel shirt. And I should be able to take on whatever the day throws at me. To keep my feet warm tonight, I'm going to use a trick that Tim told me about. The trick is to fill a hard plastic Nalgene water bottle with boiling water. It only takes a few minutes to boil enough water in my Sumo Jet Boil stove to completely fill the bottle. Then I'll close the lid super tight so I don't get any water leaking out. Here's an interesting fact. At 10,000 feet, water boils at about 194 degrees Fahrenheit. Compare that to sea level, where water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. That's an 18-degree difference. Alright, back to the trick. The idea is to take this super warm plastic bottle and put it in something like a shirt at the bottom of your mummy bag. This should keep my feet warm all night long. And you know what? He was right. I slept for a pretty hard 8 or 9 hours on that second night. Also, the water bottle didn't leak and was still warm when I got up for the day. Of course, I dumped out this purified hot water that had spent the night leaching plastic particles from the bottle. I also rinsed the bottle out with fresh purified water before refilling with drinking water. Anyway, once I got up, still in my PJs, I headed for the campfire. It sounds like everyone had a pretty cold night and they were serious about getting that fire started this morning. I sat there for a bit, then I got my boiled and reconstituted breakfast going. The freeze-dried meals are quick and convenient, but I'm not sure I can get used to them. After breakfast, we decided on what fishing adventure would be best. Cousin Mike was still a little sore from yesterday, so he decided to stay close to camp today. Luckily, Tim and Scotty were up for an adventure. Had this great idea to hike to Boulder Lake to see if it had really winter killed in the recent past. A few of the guys said that they tried to fish it about 6 or 7 years ago and they didn't even see a fish. That means only one thing, it's likely a winter kill. For the trip today, we'll start out heading east to the first silver dollar lake that Mike and I fished yesterday. Then we'll head south towards Boulder Lake through the trees, brush, and boulders. Boulder Lake has certainly earned its name. Nearly every route to Boulder Lake requires boulder hopping for at least 1/8 to 1/4 of a mile. These boulders range in size from several feet across to 20 or so feet across, almost as big as a house. It's quite a challenge and a little bit dangerous too. It's not very far to that first little lake. It's like 500 yards or 500 feet. No, it's 1,200 feet. 1,200 feet.
What's the name of it? Silver Dollar?
He calls it Silver Dollar. Must be it. Now you can see the lake. So we'll curve this way. Yeah, so we have to boulder hop from here around, and then we get up in that stretch and we can go up through the woods. And Boulder Lake's just up over it. As we hit that first little lake, we fished with flies and spinners for the next half hour. I used a copper-colored Copper John and caught maybe 2 dozen fish. Tim and Scotty used flies and spinners and also caught a couple dozen fish each. It's so much fun catching gobs of fish, even if they aren't huge. There we go. Ooh, have an audience over here. Lots of fish, huh? Lots of fish. Ooh, that's a nice fish. Not very big, but he sure is pretty. Bronzy. Super dark brookie. You are a nice fish. So bronze. There you go. So around this little cove thing, the big fish hang out under the edge of the rocks. And it's pretty cool. You'll see a bunch of little ones and all of a sudden a big one will zip out. There we go. Another nice fish. Oop. There we go. Yep. He's 8. We'll catch some of the 10s and 11s.
Oh, wow.
This guy's pretty ancient too. This lake definitely has been winter killed in a while.
I feel like you can almost catch the same fish twice.
Yep. Yep. I've got videos where I've caught the same fish like 3 or 4 times in a day, ice fishing. Yeah, it's kind of pointy. That's a guy. He's in the prime of his life. 5 years old, maybe. 4 or 5.
Really?
Yep. The big guys you're catching out here are like 9. This one's an old female. She's looking like she's 7, 8. Pretty skinny. Big head, but a rounded snout. Let's see, there's a bunch of fish out there now. Let's see if we can get to skim the water. Too much fun.
3 for 3.
Yep. That is just a pile of fish. Hold on, quit wiggling. It's another male in his prime. Nice and meaty. These are the kind you keep. Big shoulders. It's okay. Just come somewhere else and find a fresh packet of fish here.
4 for 4.
Yep. Ooh, that's a nice one. Another nice fat muscly fish. That is a nice fish. It's a male. It's got a kite point. Another 5-year-old fish. Beautiful fish. Ooh, there's a big one. So we can get him on. Come on, there's a biggie. Oh, he's skinny. Another nice male brookie, running 5, 6 years old.
Okay.
That's a nice little fish, little male, right about 5 years old. Nice fish. He's very persistent. I stung him once, but he insisted on tasting it. He's not very big, but boy, he is pretty. There you go. Ooh, there you go. Back in the water. That is one pretty fish. Yes. Some of these fish are still napping. Oh wait, there's one. Came out from under the rock. Oh, self-release. Thank you, fish. A little more to our right. Probably get past this stuff and cut up right. Keep on this ridge. It's pretty easy hiking right here. After bushwhacking for about 1/3 of a mile, we finally crested the stack of huge rocks at the outlet of Boulder Lake. Then we carefully made our way down to the edge of the lake and fished the shoreline for a few hundred feet. But we didn't even see a single fish. This was enough evidence that this lake had winter killed for sure. Also, we only fished the outlet section of the lake and didn't want to spend the next hour boulder hopping to the inlet. There may have been a few fish towards the inlet, but we decided the investment and time to get there wasn't worth it. I haven't fished this lake for about 25 years. But when I did, it was one of the most amazing brook trout fisheries that I'd ever come across. At the time we fished it, many of the largest fish we caught were about 16 inches long. And you could quickly limit out on these huge brookies if you were keeping them. It's a little disappointing now, but it's just the cycle that a lot of these lakes up here go through. Winter kill is something that happens when a lake doesn't have a way to regenerate the dissolved oxygen in the water, and while the inhabitants of that water continue to deplete the oxygen levels. In the winter, ice and snow will cover the lake and prevent stirring and oxygenation by the wind. Also, in some years, the lake will see less water inflow, which also will reduce the amount of oxygen added to the water. At some point, if there are too many inhabitants consuming the oxygen and no new oxygen is added to the water, then the inhabitants start dying. In this case, it's those awesome brookies that we're always looking to catch. Many lakes in the Wind Rivers go through these cycles of overpopulation, winter kill, and repopulation. Sometimes not all the fish are killed in the lake and a few are left to repopulate. Other times the game and fish has to restock a lake to get it going again. In those first 5 or 10 years after a lake begins to repopulate, the fish get very large. For a few short years, there's an abundance of food shared between a smaller number of fish. If you find a lake in the repopulation part of the cycle, it's usually an amazing fishing experience. After that difficult and disappointing hike to Boulder Lake, we headed back down toward the Silver Dollar Lakes. We followed the creek down to the other lake and took a small break. This next clip illustrates how many fish there are in this area. We'd been sitting there for a few minutes and it obviously didn't spook the fish at all. You think there's a fish in there?
Maybe. If there is, I think you can catch it. Jeez, what? Shut the front door.
Oh, did he break my hook? He did. No, he didn't.
Got him so far. Holy crap.
Pocket fishing. We made sure to hit that second lake to see what we could catch. The experience was very similar to the other lake, but the fish were about 1 or 2 inches shorter on average. A lot of fish in here, but yeah, this one's okay. This is 9, and most of them are pretty dang small though. There you go, look at that guy. Whoa. Pretty fish. Get him back in here as quick as possible. Four-year-old fish, male, nice guy. Well shoot, they're all kind of small, aren't they? All right, there's another nice fish. We'll let him go in her, it's a her, we'll let her go in just a second here. This lake is even more overpopulated than the other one, huh? Yep. Alright, that's another nice fish. Looks like a male, he's got a slight point on his nose. Pretty nice guy. 8 inches, that's it. So many little fish, jeez. Another nice little male, he's pretty fish. All 3 of us caught a couple dozen more fish here before we headed back to camp. It's definitely a lot of work exploring some of these lakes, but it really feeds your sense of adventure, and this makes all the trouble worth it. Later, back at camp, after we'd all had eaten, we sat around listening to the guys play the guitar by the campfire. That's another experience that made this year's trip something special. I'll leave a couple of these songs at the end of the video so you can listen to them yourself. Well, that's pretty much it for today's video. If you liked it, please hit that thumbs up thingy. Also, make sure you hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss the upcoming content. Next few videos in this series have some of the craziest fishing footage this year. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again real soon.
Modest is modest.
He doesn't like attention or praise.
How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that He should give His only Son to make a wretch His treasure. How deep the pain of searing loss, the Father turns His face away, as wounds which mar the chosen one bring many sons to glory.
It's too late.
Behold the man upon the cross, my sin upon His shoulders. Ashamed I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that held Him there until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. I will not boast in anything, no gifts, no power, no wisdom, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, His death and resurrection. And what should I gain from His reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: His wounds have paid my ransom. This is my desire, to honor You, Lord, with all my heart, worship You. All I have within me, I give You praise. All that I adore is in You. Lord, I give You my heart, I give You my soul.
What's the chord there?
Live for You alone, every breath that I take, every moment I'm awake.
There it is.
Have Your way in me. This is my desire, to honor You, Lord, with all my heart, worship You.
was
Hey, I was coming in hot.
Because you were forsaken, I'm accepted. You were condemned. I'm alive and well. Your spirit is within me. Because you died and rose again. Amazing love, how can you be that you, my King, would die for me? Amazing love, I know it's true. It's my joy to honor you in all I do. I honor you. You are my King. Jesus, you are my King.
Wow.